Good morning. Okay. Uh, um, Today is the second week, right? So first thing of the week, I used to start with the question about the homework assignment. Okay. Is there any question in your homework assignment last week? You do, you doing well with your homework assignment? It's not that easy, right? So if you are not a programmer, you should spend like 5 hours, maybe 6 hours to finish that. But it's a if you want to get started with programming, that is the thing that you have to went through, right? Okay, so congratulations. So far you have started to do programming, right? So, and today we'll do more programming, right? And most importantly, today we will put programming to use. I mean, why do you want to learn programming? It's because you want to analyze the data so you can get the information, you can get the useful information, right? So today, based on what you have learned in your homework assignment last week, we will we will use that programming techniques to process the data in a way that you can see the useful information inside the data. Okay, so that's the plan for today. Okay. Actually, we will have 2 weeks doing this, right? This is the first week, and then we have the second week, okay? Now, before we go into the, let me make sure that I'm recording, okay? Before we go into the new stops, let's do some review, right? So, as I have told you, right, R is actually it is not a programming language by itself. I told you the story, right? When we are in Bell Lab, right? In the very beginning, we are not thinking about designing another programming language, okay? We are thinking about doing a lightweight, easy to use, kind of like a casual computing environment. So we can, when we want to do some simple data manipulation, we don't need to write program. We don't need to write serious program for every single thing that we do, right? So that's why we invent the R language, right? So up to today, it's still not an official programming language. You can see it as an interactive data object computation environment. That's what R is, right? Okay. So when we say data object, right? We mean that every piece of data, right? Data, last week in your homework assignment, you should have experienced that data have structure, right? They have different data type. They have structure in different way, right? So all kind of data is treated as a data object, right? So an R is actually just you express what you want to compute by putting this data object inside an expression, right? By combining this data object, right? Every data object has a name, right? So use its name to combine this data object with operator, with function code, right? When they combine them together, then in a syntax, then you're doing an expression, right? Isn't it? You express what you want to compute, right? By putting data object with operator, with function code, right? So you make up the expression. And the R environment will compute the result, right, of the expression. So the result of the expression is another data object, right? The output of the computation must be something, right? And it must be like a vector. It could be a matrix. It could be a data frame, something like that, right? So computation is data in, data out, right? The input is the data. You put the data in the expression, right? Put it together with operator and function code. And then this interactive environment would compute the expression for you. And the output would be another data object, right? Okay? So you can print the data object to examine the result. Or you can set the data object in another object name, isn't it? Actually, if you want, you can set the resultant data object into an existing data name, existing object name. Then the original content of that set in the name will be like overwritten, right? So in this way, you are doing programming, right? Basically, business logic could be a very lengthy process, right? So you have a lot of steps from the raw data to the business decision, right? So it's a very lengthy sequence. So, but however, the entire sequence, the entire programming sequence, what you do is only one thing, right? And that's what we have right here, okay? So the programming, no matter how lengthy, how long a program is, right? Every statement, right, is actually just an expression, right? Okay? So doing programming is nothing but a process that define or update data object with expression, isn't it? Right? So programming can be like programming can be defined in a very simple sentence like this. Okay, okay. So programming is simple, right? Well, not really. Okay, not really. Two things make programming complicated, right? The first thing is like you have experience list, right, in your homework assignment, isn't it? Right? Because data is not only a simple value, okay? And value can have different types, okay? So data can have different type, and they can have different structures, right? And last week in your homework assignment, you have experienced some of the most commonly used data type and data object, okay, in the R environment, okay? And you have learned some basic technique to manipulate this data object, to compute this data object by putting the data object inside an expression, right? In the syntax of R, right? The expression is in the syntax of R, right? Basically, it is data object plus operator plus function code, okay? And then the R environment is going to like compute the expression, right? Print the result to you, or you can set the result in an object for later use. Okay? So that's what we have learned up to this point of time. Okay? Any question up to this point of time? No? No problem? Okay. So, okay. So, if you have no question, I have a question for you. Okay. So, just to kind of like warm up a little bit. Okay. See, talking about the data structure. Now, the vector is kind of like one-dimensional data structure, right? It is actually a sequence of value of the same type, right? In a vector, that you cannot, a vector can be a numeric vector, it can be a logical vector, can be a character vector, right? Okay, but every element in the vector need to be has to be of the same type, right? You cannot like mix different type of data in the vector. You cannot, right? Okay. So vector is actually just a sequence of data in the same type. Okay. So it is one-dimensional, right? So what is the difference between vector and matrix? Yeah.
Matrix are two-dimensional or three-dimensional.
Right. It is two-dimensional, right? It's kind of like a two-dimensional vector, right? Actually, there's a name called array, right? Array. So, but as long as it is array, the element of array must of the same type, okay? So, but array can be one-dimensional, which is the vector. If array is two-dimensional, it is a matrix, right? And when you learn more, you might also learn the three-dimensional matrix, four-dimensional matrix, right? Okay. Yes.
Professor, what is a four-dimensional matrix? What's the fourth dimension?
Well, for example, if we are talking about when you are doing the artificial intelligence, okay, so you have a three-dimensional object there, right? And then if in each of the pixel, right, the three-dimensional things, you have a lot of pixel in the three-dimensional, arranged in a three-dimensional way, right? Now, if every pixel has a color, right, that color can becomes the fourth dimension, okay? So data can be structured in different way, right? Okay. Now, we have some like gifts, some incentive for people who answer question in this course. So let's do that. Open that. Do it. Now, so we already have the first question that what is the difference between vector and matrix, right? So what is the difference between metric and data frame? Data frame is also two-dimensional, right? Okay. Anyone else? Yeah.
Data frame can have all different types of data. So it can have several different types of data within the same data frame.
Right. Can you understand what's your name?
Oh, yeah, so a data frame can have all the different types of data within the same data frame. So it can have ordinal and category.
Yeah. Can you understand what your name is?
Dan.
Dan?
Dan.
Dan?
Dan.
Dan?
Yeah.
Okay. You understand what you say, right? The different from matrix. If you were matrix, actually all of the element here must of the same type, right? But data frame is different, right? Data frame is actually a very, very useful data structure in business data analysis. Actually, I would say that data frame is the most important data structure, okay? And it is actually, in the data frame, like every column, okay, is a vector, right? Okay? And the different column can have different type. All of these vector must have the same length, right? Okay? So, but the column can have different data type, right? So for example, if this is student, right? If we talking about the student data, then every row is actually a subject of research, right? A subject of our interest, okay? You want to analysis your customer, then every row is a customer, right? If you want to investigate a product, then every row is a product, right? If you want to study company, then every row is a company, right? Now, for every student, every company, for every product, there are a lot of attributes, right? Isn't it? Right? And some attributes, they are numerics. For example, the amount of purchasement of a customer, right? That is numeric, right? And some of the attribute could be character. For example, the name of the customer, right? Some of the attribute could be categorical or factor, right? Because, for example, his sex, his gender, isn't it, right? So this data frame actually represent a group of subject that we want to analyze, okay? Then every row of the data frame is one of the subject that we want to study, right? And every column is one of the characteristics, is one of the attribute that of our interest, isn't it, right? So that is data frame. So different from matrix. In the data frame, every column can have different data type. Okay? And in today's course, we will see how we will see the power, the usefulness of data frame, and we will actually do some practice to let you use data frame. I should say to use our language to find useful information inside a data frame. Okay, that is the major purpose of today's course. Okay. Yes.
Like, what kind of business activities use metrics, and what kind of business activities use this data frame to analyze those numbers?
Well, it's not the business activity that determine the data structure. Okay. See, if you are doing a thing like, for example, you're doing customer relation management, right? So in customer relation management, the unit that you want to manage is a customer, right? And in that way, you will have customer records, right? In a table, you put the customer record in the table, right? And in that sense, your data type would be something like data frame, okay? And there are some actually in the business environment, most of the data are data frame. I can say that almost like 90% of the data is in the format of data frame. That's why data frame is important. Okay. Metric. You would most likely encounter a metric in an engineering type of situation, right? You're doing like automatic driving. You're doing like face recognition. That you have a two-dimensional picture, isn't it? Right? You are doing like automatic driving. You are dealing with a three-dimensional space, isn't it? And in that type of situation, you will encounter metric more, right? Okay. So can we have a gift to Jen? Okay. All right. So let's go to today's unit page. Okay. I have told you that in our course, everything starts from this page, right? You go to the website and you go to here, and so everything starts with here. This is the most important web page that you have to bookmark this page, okay? And every unit, for every unit, we will have a unit page, okay? So this is unit 2. So go to unit 2, and you'll see this page, okay? So all of the materials including video recording, can be found inside this page. Okay. So today's we are going to use some notebooks, some R notebooks. I'll explain that later. Don't worry. Okay. And all of this notebook and data are stored here. We have a Google Drive, right? So you click here. Click the second link. Okay. Now you'll see two things here, right? I would suggest that you like in your computer. I would actually recommend that in your root, on the top of your file system, you actually create a folder, a file folder for IB533, okay, and then you can download the data into that folder. Okay, and of course you can also download the PowerPoint, right? Now, next thing you want to do is, okay. So far here in your drive, on the top of your drive, you have a folder, right? IB533, and then you have the zip file, right? So if you open this zip file, you will see that there are two folders inside the zip file, right? So you can copy these two files and then like paste it here, right? Basically just kind of like simply drag this two folder here, okay? So you will have two folder. One of it is etc. There are some miscellaneous things that we want to use of the full course, but you don't need to worry about that. Just put it here, and then there is a folder for today. It's called 02R Basics. Okay. So you have two folders, right? Okay, and then all of the data and program we are going to use is inside this folder. Okay. Okay. Now you can go to your R Studio. Okay. Now, after you start your R Studio, the R Studio will start with somewhere in your file system, right? But we need to find the program and data that we want to use today, right? So look here. In display, you will see three dots, right? See that? Push this one. Okay. Then you will go to your file system browser. Okay. I mean, in your R Studio, at this position, you will see 3 points, right? Click it, and you will go to your file system, right? And you need to find the folder that we just created, right? A minute ago, in your file system. I put it here, right? IB533. I put it here, right? I put it here, right? So go to here, and then press open. Then you will see the content within the 02R state basics. Everyone go to this place? No? Can TA, anyone need help? Should we? So, or you can bring your notebook to me, right? Working now? Okay. Okay. Now, so we are going to this point, right? Okay. So so this is the data and the program that we are going to use today. Okay. Okay. Now, if you click one of this HTML file, the HTML file is what I mean by notebook. Okay. Let's open the Unit2.a. Okay. You click HTML file. It ask you to open in editor or view in web browser, right? Try to choose view in web browser. Then you will see something like this. Okay? And this is basically the format of most of our course material. Okay? See, in this course, we do not have a textbook, right? So basically, most of our course material is kind of like this. Okay? And as you can see that, in this Unit 2A, I'm going to teach you some of the vector operation and function code. Okay? So this is section 1, right? And there are some hyperlinks, there are some remarks, and they are program, and this is the result of the program, right? Okay? So in RStudio, it actually can produce a nice web page like this, right? It call it R Notebook or R Markdown, okay? So the program that I give you is in this RMD file, okay? So try to open Unit2.a RMD, okay? Click it. Then you will see that the content of the RMD would open in the upper left corner. Get it? Okay?
It's asking me to download packages.
Yeah. It will ask you to download package, then press yes, right? If it asks you, up at this point of time, it should ask you that when you see, when RStudio see that there are some package you are not installed, it will ask you to install it. Okay? So let it install the package for you. Okay? So far you should have opened your RMD, and if you are a new RStudio user, it should ask you to install some packages. Okay? Okay. Because this is the first time that you are using the RStudio, right? Okay. So you might have some problem in installing package. You might have some problem in using this environment, right? So I will take a break here. Okay. I want to make sure that everyone can use the RStudio to make the notebook. Okay. So if everything is is doing fine, then after you press this knit button, you will see a red light here, and then the program will be compiled into something like this. Okay? I mean, if you do everything right, then after you press this button, after you press this knit button, you will see a nice web page, okay? A nice web page, something like this, okay? And that's the way we are going to do our, and most of our course material will be in this format, okay? So before I go any further, I want to make sure that everyone can do this, right? Okay. So if you have problem doing this, okay, please come to TA, or you can bring your notebook to me, okay? Let's take a break now. And at the time that we start in the next hour, I want to make sure that everyone can like run our program in their RStudio, okay? Let me say it again, right? If you do everything right, then after you place this knit button, okay, you will see a red light here, and then after it finished, you should see a nice formatted. Show already? Good. That's good. That's good. Okay. So anyone have problem doing this, please go to TA or bring your notebook to me. Okay? And let's take a break now. I want you to I want to make sure that everyone can do this.